morning everyone. Myself Gagan Singh Saini and today I am going to present on the topic CPU architectures and its design as a part of microprocessor and peripheral devices course assignment. So moving on to the first slide. Here I have depicted the CPU abstraction level in hierarchical order. So the basic level 0 is process engineering and fabrication. On this level, a designer has to develop and manufacture the lowest level components such as transistor, diode, etc. as a building block for the CPU. The next level in this CPU level abstraction is the logic and circuit design implementation level. In this level, the basic gates and low-level circuits are designed to implement different components of the CPU, such as AND gates, NAND gates, etc. In the next level in this hierarchy is the microarchitecture level. In this level, the designer has to design the circuitry to implement the different instruction set architectures, which basically consist of how a given instruction is to be decoded and executed inside the CPU. For example, add instructions. Moving on to the next level of the abstraction is the instruction set architecture design level, which is level 3. This level is the interface between the hardware uh, design aspect and the software design aspect of a CPU architecture. On this level, a designer has to specify the set of instruction that the computers can perform and the instruction data types and addressing modes that the CPU architecture supports. And rest above all level 4 to 6 is the software is based on the software design aspect of the CPU. And in this presentation we are going to mostly focus towards the level 3, which is ISA. Moving on to the next slide, before discussing the instruction set architecture designs and its type, here I have presented the von Neumann model for computing model that has been presented by the mathematician John von Neumann. The stored program computers, which we are currently used to today, are known as von Neumann architecture systems. Today's stored program computers has the following characteristics: the CPU, the main memory, which is RAM and ROM, and the input-output system. The computer based on the von Neumann architectures can employ fetch, decode, and execute cycles to run programs. Moving on to the next slide. Here is the IAS computer, which is Institute of Advanced Study computer, which was the first computer that was developed in Princeton at around from 1944 to 1951. This computer was based on John von Neumann architectures. This computer consists of main memory, which stored both data and instruction, and ALU that is capable of operating on binary data, a control unit which interprets the instructions in the memory and cause them to execute, and input and output equipments uh, operated by the control unit. Here we are going to dive deep into the instruction set architecture. As I had told earlier, instruction set architecture is the interface between the software aspect of CPU design and the hardware aspect of CPU architecture design. So instruction sets are the primitive set of instruction a particular CPU implements. Different CPUs can have different set of instructions that they can implement. For example, the different CPUs are ARM, Intel x86 based, IBM Motorola PowerPC, MIPS, and Intel IA32 based CPU architectures. The instruction set architecture is different from microarchitecture, which consists of various processor design techniques used to implement the instruction set. For example, the basic instruction set can consist of instructions such as addition, subtraction, branch operation, etc. And these instructions can be same for two different CPUs, but the underlying principle in executing those instructions can be different. For example, the circuitry uh, to execute the add instruction in two different CPUs can be different from each other, but they in the end results will be the same. So we can say that computer with different microarchitectures can share a common instruction set. Before discussing in detail about the design aspect of the instruction set architecture, we must discuss what makes an ISA a good ISA. The basic three criteria for defining a good ISAs are programmability, which is it should be easier to express a program efficiently using a given instruction set architecture. Next is implementability, which is it should be easy to design high performance implementations. And more recently, we have placed more focus on lower power implementation, high reliability implementation, and low cost implementation using a given instruction set architecture. Next criteria is compatibility, which is it should be easy to maintain programmability as language and program evolves. For example, a program which is written on lower generation instruction set architecture should be able to run on a newer, higher level of instruction set architecture. Moving on to the next slide, we can classify ISA into five different categories, which are operand storage in the CPU, number of explicit named operands, operand location, operations, and type and size of operands. Moving on to the next slide. Based on the operand storage classification, the three most common types of ISAs are based on stack architecture, accumulator architecture, and general purpose registers architectures. In the stack architecture, the operands are implicitly on top of the stacks. In accumulator architecture, the operand is implicitly the accumulator, and in general purpose register architecture, all operands are explicitly mentioned. They are either register or memory locations. Each of these ISs has their both advantage and disadvantage. In the stack architecture, it is easier to express an expression using simple model of reverse Polish notation. So this makes an instruction short, but the basic disadvantage of the stack architecture is that the stack cannot be accessed randomly. This makes it hard to generate efficient code. The stack itself is accessed for every operation and becomes a bottleneck. In the accumulator architecture, the advantage is of the short instruction, as one of the operands is implicitly the accumulator, so we don't have to specify that operand. So it makes it instruction short. But the disadvantage of the accumulator architecture is that the contents of the accumulator is only temporary, so we must have to move the contents of the accumulator before performing next operations. So this makes the memory traffic higher for this approach, using this approach. Then next is general purpose register architecture. The advantage of this architecture is that this makes the code generation easy, and the data can be stored for the long periods in registers. But the basic disadvantage is that all the operands must be named, leading to the lower instructions in the programs. Moving on to the next slide, here I have listed various popular instruction set that are used in the industries. Each one of has its own uses and advantage. The most popular instruction set architectures used in the industries are reduced instruction set computer RISC architecture and complex instruction set computer CISC architecture. In the RISC architectures, Uh, it contains the instruction primitive and basic instruction which can be carried out in fewer cycles per instruction, and those primitive set of instruction can be used to carry out more complicated instructions, such as we can use addition instruction to carry out a multiplication in the RISC architecture CPU. Whereas in the CISC architecture, it contains more number of complex instruction set which has dedicated hardware implemented into the CPU. Such instructions are multiplication and division instructions, and these instructions require more number of clock cycles to execute than the primitive instructions such as addition. And the CISC architectures has fewer numbers of instruction program than the RISC architecture program. Moving on to the next slide, here I have listed the key difference between RISC and CISC architecture. An example of RISC-based CPU is ARM architecture, and an example of CISC-based CPU is Intel x86 architecture. RISC architectures contains a small and highly optimized set of instruction, and instructions are of same size and fixed format. These instructions require one clock cycles per instruction, and it uses more RAM to store instructions, and it is easier to debug and easier to optimize in the RISC architecture, hence a more reliable processor. Whereas in CISC architectures, there are larger set of instructions are more complicated and built into the hardware and are of variable length, multiple clock cycles required per instruction, and fewer instructions to store due to the larger set of instruction, and it is harder to maintain and debug and harder to optimize the CISC based program. Moving on to the next slide, here I have shown the 8085 microprocessor architecture. 8085 is an 8-bit microprocessor designed by Intel in 1977 using NMOS technology. 8085 has the following configuration. It contains 8-bit data bus, 16-bit address bus, 16-bit program counter, 16-bit stack pointer, and six 8 bits register arranged in pairs B, C, D, E, and HL, and requires plus minus 5 volts to operate at 3.2 megahertz single phase clock. 8085 consists of the following functional units. Accumulator is an 8-bit register used to perform arithmetic logical I/O load store operation, and it is connected directly to the internal data bus and the ALU. Next is arithmetic and logical unit. As the name suggests, it performs arithmetic and logical operations like addition, subtraction, and or etc. on 8-bit data. Next is general purpose register. There are 6 general purpose registers in 8085, which I have shown earlier. B, C, D, E, H, and L. Each registers can hold 8-bit data. These registers can work in pair to hold 16-bit data, and their pairing combination is like B, C, D, E, and HL. Next is program counter. It is the 16-bit register used to store the memory address location for the next instruction to be executed. The microprocessor increments the program whenever an instruction is being executed, so that the program counter points to the memory address of the next instruction that is going to be executed. Next is stack pointer. It is also a 16-bit register, works like a stack, which is also always incremented and decremented by 2 during push and pop operations. A temporary register. It is an 8-bit register which holds the temporary data of arithmetic and logical operations. Flag register. It is an 8-bit register having 5 1-bit flip-flops which hold either 0 or 1 depending upon the results stored in the accumulator. Next is instruction register and decoder. It is an 8-bit register where when an instruction is fetched from the memory that is stored in the instruction register, instruction decoder decodes the information present in the instruction register. Next is timing and control unit. It provides the timing and control signal to the microprocessor to perform operations. Following are the timing and control signals, which control the external and internal circuits, which are control signals, status signal, DMA signals, and reset signals. Next is interrupt control. It controls the interrupts during a process. When a microprocessor is executing a main program, whenever an interrupts occur, the microprocessor shifts the control from the main program to process the incoming request. After the request is completed, the control goes back to the main program. And there are 5 interrupt signal in 8085 microprocessor, which are INTR, reset 7.5, reset 6.5, reset 5.5, and trap. Next is serial input output control. It controls the serial data communication by using two instructions, SID and SOD. Next is address buffer and address data buffer. The content is stored in the stack pointer and program counter is loaded into the address buffer and address data buffer to communicate with the CPU. The memory and IO are connected to these buses. The CPU can exchange the desired data with the memory and IO chips. Next is address bus and data bus. Data bus carries the data to be stored. It is bidirectional, whereas the address bus carries the location to where it should be stored, and it is unidirectional. It is used to transfer the data and address IO devices. Here I have listed all the resources which I had used to make this presentation. So thank you.